The dragon type is overpowered. We all know this. Heck, the Pokemon Company themselves know this. Out of all 10 pseudo-legendary Pokemon that exist, 8 of them are dragon types. But to combat that point, they don't usually evolve until virtually the end of the game, and baby dragons are pretty squishy. They also happen to be pretty rare, but in this run, we're only going to be looking for the rarest of the rarest to accompany us on this endeavor. That's right, the sparkly ones. No shiny charm, no sparkle power sandwiches. So my friends, grab your popcorn and kick back, because this is the story of how I took on the Paldean adventure in its entirety, using exclusively full odds shiny dragon Pokemon. Listen, we all know that the intro to this game is ludicrous, so I'm just gonna go ahead and speedrun it for you. A rich guy broke and entered into my house, he gave my mum a present, I put on a dumb hat, took his exotic pets for walkies, met my future ex-wife, fell off a cliff, met a dinosaur, gave it my lunch, got ragdolled, went to Hogwarts, met some strangers, and accepted some ludicrously complicated and frankly over-the-top requests from complete strangers, and finally got on my way. That was a lot. Okay, so this run I did some research, and there's a meal that I can buy from the Go for Broke grill in Cascarafa called the Escalivada, which has a lovely little side effect of granting an encounter power boost for dragon types. And before you comment, these sandwiches don't increase the odds of finding a shiny dragon, it just means that it increases the amount of them that spawn. 0% of them have an increased shiny chance, so it's still full odds. You keyboard warrior, I see you. So I head over to this little cave nearish Cortondo, and I run back and forth for 2 days before I find any sparklies. But, let's be real, in a Gentle Dude shiny Nuzlocke, the plan isn't allowed to go to plan. I should have expected this. Oh my god, that's a shiny Yungus. Why? Oh my god. I've been doing this for so long. You're not who I was looking for. Okay. So, yeah, cool. Whatever. Back to hunting, I guess. I spent the next, what felt like a month hunting back and forth in this cave. And you know what happened? I found a shiny Pokemon. Do you want to guess which one? Oh my god, not again. Not again. No. How? Why? That's insane. Stop it. Recap. Cool, I guess. Yep, you know, I walk around like everything's fine, but deep down inside my shoe, my sock is sliding off. Anyway, listen, it took 6 days of total running around, even with the encounter boost before I found the Gibble. But eventually, I did find the Gibble. Wait, that's it. That has to be it, right? Finally! 1, 2, 3. Yes! It's over! By the way, there is a nickname theme here, so if you can guess it, drop a comment. And I like this one. Regardless, with the cat in the bag, or I guess the shark in the ball, it's time to fight some bugs. Katie, as per usual, leads Nimble, and I lead, well, the only Pokemon that we've got. Luckily for us, though, Cyrax has access to the TM Fire Fang, which against Katie is nifty to say the least. One of those wipes out Nimble, and Tarantula is up next. Cyrax outspeeds, uses Fire Fang, but just misses out on the one shot. However, we land the burn, which helps us in 2 ways. 1, it lessens the amount taken from the oncoming physical attack, and 2, it means that at the end of the turn, the spider dies. The teddy bear comes out last, and Katie presses the Terra button. But Cyrax does a madness, outspeeds, lands the Fire Fang, gets to flinch, and does enough that the next turn, another one just finishes it off. We take the battle, we take the badge. Cyrax came to play. So, after squishing a few bugs, my stomach started rumbling. You know what I could really go for? Seafood. Specifically, crab. And you know where they serve the best crab? South Province Area 3. Let's see. Cyrax takes a pretty solid Vise Grip turn 1, but then gets off a Bulldoze. We don't outspeed the next turn. So Cyrax takes a Rock Smash before dealing the final blow with Bulldoze. What a good Sand Dragon Shark. The Titan ran away, but I'm hungry, and Cloth looks delicious. Phase 2 kicks off, and Shelder takes the first hit, allowing Cyrax to get off a Bulldoze. Shelder helps out with a Water Gun, but, next turn I crit the Shelder, so it dies. Oops. Anyway, without much problem, a couple of Bulldozes later, Cloth falls. We head into the cave and make a sandwich out of the remnants of the Titan. Delicious. I fed some to the other dragon, the one that I'm only allowed to use as a bicycle for whatever reason. He says Agias, and we head on out towards Artisan, because that's where the classy, sassy, frassy, grassy brass man lives, and he's up next on the old hit list. In preparation, I swapped out the soft sand for the charcoal on Cyrax and snagged the TM for Sunny Day. So with all that in mind, let's solo another boss fight, shall we? My guy leaps off a windmill and immaculately executes a superhero landing from about 20 or maybe 30 feet without breaking any limbs or having a single hair fall out of place. What sort of hairspray are you using? How are your shins still intact? What is this? Whatever. Listen, he leads a Petilil, and of course I lead Cyrax, who is still our only Pokemon. Cyrax is insane, and turn 1 I opt to use Swords Dance. Then he takes a Mega Drain, which in hindsight I should have Terrassalized for. Regardless, a Fire Fang incinerates Petilil, and before I know it, we're squaring off with an Olive. I decided to click Sunny Day before flooring it with Fire Fang. Finally, Sudowoodo comes out, and I can implement my genius tactic. See, I taught Cyrax Bulldoze, and even though it does pretty negligible damage damage, ha 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 ha, it has a nifty second purpose, which is that it always lowers the target's speed. So with that, even after barely surviving a Trailblaze, I'm incredibly confident that Cyrax outspeeds and from here finishes the job, which he does. I'm a genius. Brassius, more like... We walk away with our team 100% intact, but I guess that was the only option if we weren't gonna lose the run. I should really do something about that, shouldn't I? Interesting. So I head on out to start shiny hunting to find a teammate for Cyrax, and you'll never guess what happened next. Is that... Wait. No! Why? Okay, I guess, do you know what? Inevitable. Inevitable. Fine. That took me a full day. This is full odds. I'm sad. I'm more sad than a guy with one eye at a cinema trying to watch a 3D movie. I'm more pissed off than a fire-breathing dragon trying to blow out candles. Don't talk to me. I'm sad. Anyway, listen. Eventually, I did find the weird melting sea slug that I was looking for. Wait, is that... Yes! Finally! Let's go! It's a gooby. Oh, I've been looking for you for ages. Yes, sir! Okay, cool. And so with Smaug and Cyrax by my side, it was time to take on a Stork. Listen, this fight is intense in any scenario. This bird is a force to be reckoned with in any Nuzlocke. So with my butt clenched and my fingers crossed, I lead Smaug, click Thunderbolt, get outsped, and oh my god. At this point, I thought I was gonna lose, so I switch over to Cyrax, luckily on a rock throw. The following turn, Cyrax gets outsped and oh my god! What is this? How am I supposed to win the second phase? My Pokemon are pretty much dead. Okay, listen to me when I say this. What happens next is a miracle, an anomaly, an enigma, a synonyms. Arvin comes through to help us out and we gear up to surely lose this attempt and pretty much the entire week spent on this run so far. Turn 1, I click Protect with Smaug, but Bombardier targets Arvin's Knackley. Luckily, Arvin went for Rock Throw and did some good damage. We get some Lefty's recovery before getting targeted only by a Torment. Then Smaug lands a solid Thunderbolt and Arvin lands a solid Rock Throw. Is this happening? I click Protect and Bombi targets Smaug, leaving Knackley open to... Oh my god, how? This is insane. Arvin, thank you. I've never been more sure of a run ending in my entire life. This is ludicrous. Wow, I used to criticize Arvin on account of him being a cabbage, but do you know what? Not anymore. My goat. It just goes to show people never criticize someone until you've walked a mile in their shoes. That way, at least when you criticize them, you'll be a mile away and you'll have their shoes. We find the plant, feed our bicycle, and head on out. I have got absolutely no words for what just transpired. Listen, my team is so frail. Dragon types are absolutely incredible once they've evolved, but in the early and subsequently the mid-game, they're pretty useless. This isn't as easy as I thought it would be. So listen. With that in mind, I think I should spend however long I need to hunting for another teammate. We only got through that last fight by the gentle grace of our Geodude. And so, I went hunting. And you know what happened? I found the one I was looking for. First try. Oh my god, so you're so handsome. I know.
Oh, me on X.
Wait, is that, yes, I think, right? Yes, finally. Hello, gorgeous. Okay, cool. Kevin, I'm coming. Get your balls out. It's time to squabble. I meant his Pokeballs. You know I meant his Pokeballs. Don't make it weird. Kevin did what I asked and got his balls out. The first of which contained a Ponyard. How neat. Anyway, turn 1, Cyrax gets outsped and hit by a Metal Claw, but then retaliates with a super effective critical hit Bulldoze that one-shots. The Starmobile comes in next and I click Sand Attack. Cyrax takes a silly hard Wicked Torque, but manages to get another off before switching to Spyro on another Wicked Torque. I use the next turn to get a single Snarl off to lower the special attack of the Starmobile, then switch over to Smaug on a soft Swift. I protect for lefties, and since the Starmobile seems to be using exclusively Swift, I use Charm to lower its physical just in case it changes its mind. From here though, I'm pretty sure I can protect stall to win. So that's exactly what we do. I commit to the Terra and Smaug has wings now. The Land Rover misses a metal sound and we land a pretty soft Dragon Pulse. But you see, with the protect stalls, we can keep Smaug at a high enough HP. Listen, this might not be a very exciting back and forth, but it's the only way we're keeping everyone alive. After depulsing literally 6 times, the Starmobile goes down and Smaug takes the battle. Oh, Sea Slug, my Sea Slug. Let's keep it rolling, shall we? And listen, with a new level cap, something incredible can transpire. I can evolve Cyrax. One of our squishies is going to be less squishy. I'm so proud. It's finally happening. Let's go, Cyrax. Oh, you're so beautiful, except for the fact that you lose the yellow belly. I never liked that. But you're still so beautiful. With our little guy growing into a big, handsome, buff, tall, handsome, buff man, I swiftly make my way to Levincia to take on my next challenge. But before that, we beat Nemona, my mortal enemy slash future ex-wife, then sprint headfirst directly to battle with Paldea's favourite e-girl. We lead the battle with our newly evolved partner Cyrax, and surprise, Iono leads Watro. I begin by sand attacking, which lets us instantly dodge a pluck. Good start. We sand attack again and manage to pull off another dodge. After a few accuracy drops, we can set up a couple of swords dances, while only taking a pee-wee amount of damage from pluck. We then use rock slide, which obliterates the lightning pigeon, and Iono follows with Luxio, whose intimidate puts Cyrax down to +3 attack. Nevertheless, a stab soft sand boosted +3 bulldoze manages to take it out in one hit. Belly Bolt comes out next, but unfortunately for her, the frog absolutely could not withstand a bulldoze from an attack boosted Gabite. No sir, not today. Iono then sends out her final Pokemon, Miss Magus, who terastalizes and hits us with a Confuse Ray. Luckily though, Cyrax manages to pull through and ignores his confusion, landing a rock slide that finishes off her ace. Tisk, get your shark teeth out my face. Before heading off to take on Mela the Fire Lady, we grab the TM for Rain Dance, which will most likely just negate her and her puny fire types. How convenient. Mela sends out a fire turtle and we lead the battle with Smaug, bringer of chaos, destroyer of worlds, ruler of all sea slugs. No one can stand in our way without facing fatal consequences. Smaug uses Rain Dance straight off the bat to negate Torko's ability Drought, which also means his Flame Wheel only does 10 measly points of damage. Ha ha ha, I laugh in the face of your insolence. The lefties bring Smaug back up to 56 HP and we protect to pick up a little more. Behind the scenes, I taught Smaug Water Pulse, which honestly does far less damage than I thought it would. However, the Torko opts to use Clear Smog, which does almost nothing. After protecting again, we use Water Pulse, bringing the Torko very low, then eventually another Water Pulse takes out the turtle. The Starmobile, i.e. one of the most broken entities in this game, is next and last. I used Protect mainly to scout what Mela was going to go for. Turns out she was going for Screech. The car gets a speed boost, Smaug takes a pretty devastating Blazing Torque, and then our Dragon Slug lands a Charm on the car, putting it at -2 attack. The car gets another speed boost, and I use Protect for recovery, which doesn't matter because, to be honest, I know that Smaug wasn't going to survive another attack. So I bring Cyrax in on an overheat, which does a measly 10 points of damage. It also lowers the Starmobile's special attack, so another overheat lowers it another stage, and Cyrax uses Swords Dance. After a bunch more speed boosts, a bunch more overheats, and an unfortunate burn on our physical attacker, about 4 or 5 bulldozers were enough to finish the job. Get, and I say this with my entire chest, smacked. The Steel Titan is one of the very few typings that resists Dragon, and the ability Earth Eater means no ground type moves can counteract that with Cyrax. So I'm gonna have to devise a cunning plan to defeat the almighty Metal Noodle. Here goes. After a wild worm chase, I lead off the battle with my partner Cyrax. We start strong by getting a free Swords Dance off as Cyrax dodges the first Iron Tail from Earthworm. We then go for another Swords Dance and take a whopping 4 points of damage from Wrap. The Wrap does do residual damage though, so we gotta watch out for that. Except for the fact that when I use Fire Fang, it nearly wipes out the Earthworm. A headbutt plus the Wrap combo brings Cyrax down to half health, but fear not, my friends, for a final Fire Fang puts an end to the Metal Worm's reign. That is until we have to fight it again in about 30 seconds. So after following the worm through a hole and watching it eat some sort of questionable glowing substance, we head into battle for round 2. This time joined by my literal hero, Arvin. You didn't think I forgot about that, did you? Nah, Arvin is the sole reason that this run is still alive, and I owe him everything. Don't you dare talk smack on my king. This time round, I don't attempt setting up on Cyrax and opt to just use Fire Fang, only dealing a little bit of damage to the worm. Earthworm then lands a crit on Cyrax, but since it was only Wrap, it didn't really do much. Like, at all. Arvin's Toad Skill uses Screech, which is clutch because it harshly lowers the Earthworm's physical defense, and I'm gonna take full advantage of that. So then I use Fire Fang again, this time dropping its health to about half, and Cyrax also manages to land a burn, which is just ideal. Chef's kiss. The Earthworm uses Sandstorm, which actually works in my favor. You see, Cyrax has the ability Sand Veil, which boosts a Pokemon's evasiveness when a Sandstorm's active. We use another Fire Fang, which brings the Titan's health to virtually nothing, and Earthworm targets Arvin's side. Arvin then finishes off the battle by using Hex. We head into the cave, find some plants, feed them to our respective pets, and head out. After a hop, skip, and a jump, I find myself in the lovely little city of Cascarafa, where a dazed and confused Kofu seems late for something. In his rush, he forgot his wallet in the gym, and so we're bequeathed the task to head to Porto Marinada, and to reunite him with his money. Damn, this is a really trusting city, isn't it? Anyway, we, a 10-year-old, after being given a wallet full of $50,000, head to the port, and now he wants us, a child, to buy him some sort of genuinely extortionate, exotic caviar-esque magical seaweed. And in exchange, he'll let us battle him for a badge. Which, I mean, I thought that was like your entire purpose as a gym leader. But I guess if I have to coerce you into doing your job, I'll do what I have to do. The game is the game. It's a corrupt game, but it's the game we chose to play nonetheless. It's time to fight Mr. Tofu. He sends out a fish, and I lead with Smaug. Veluza uses Pluck, putting Smaug all the way down at just below half health. We land a Charm, which is like the premise of my entire better plan here since this fish in particular only has access to physical moves. Which means, provided we manage to avoid crits, we'll survive any of his chosen moves. The next turn, I use Protect to stall for leftovers and sit with as much HP as possible. Smaug takes a slash before landing another charm, putting Vuvuzela at -4 attack. Now, knowing that I don't want to risk losing Smaug, I don't opt for the third charm and instead send out Cyrax to set up. On the switch, Cyrax takes a slash that only does 6 points of damage, which gave me a bout of confidence for the rest of the fight. I use Sand Attack and take an Aqua Cutter that does close to no damage. This time round, I use Swords Dance and take another Aqua Cutter. Cyrax uses Swords Dance again and takes another Aqua Cutter, putting Cyrax on exactly 52 health. A crit here would honestly suck. A little later than I probably should have, I terrestrialized Cyrax to the pure Dragon type to resist water and used Thunderfang, flooring the Veluza in one shot. The Wog Trio comes out, and because this was a speed demon, it outspeeds and hits Cyrax with a headbutt, but luckily doesn't get the flinch. Cyrax Thunderfang's taken out Wog Wog. But because of Woggy's ability Gooey, Cyrax's speed falls, which puts us in a pretty scary position against Kofu's ace Crabominable. See, if Cyrax doesn't outspeed, we risk taking a heavy hit and potentially losing the Pokemon that we started this run with. But even with the speed drop, we outspeed. A Thunderfang wins the battle, but I cannot lie, for a second there, I wasn't feeling very live, laugh, love. My friends, our next challenge resides in the frame-deficient realm of Tag Tree Thicket. Now, this is a land where mysterious things happen. Frame rates drop, sprinting somehow slows you down. Frame rates drop, again, it's an anomaly. It's the Bermuda Triangle of Pokemon. We dare not venture too deep if we want to get out alive. Regardless of these phenomenons, it's time to take on the most toxic individual to graze Paldean soil. This man is the wrong side of a particularly angry skunk. This man is the human incarnation of a wet sock. This man is no other than Atticus. Facing off against Skuntank, we lead with Swords Dance. Now, Skuntank tries to use Sucker Punch, so we're sitting pretty so far. The next turn, like a cabbage, Atticus tries to use Sucker Punch again. Ha 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 ha. You fool. Cyrax uses Swords Dance again, and now we mean business. A final missed Sucker Punch sets Cyrax all the way up, ready to do what he does best. But before attacking, I decide to use Sandstorm to capitalize on Gabai's ability Sandveil. So Skuntank ended up going for Toxic that turn, which kinda sucks because that just puts Gabai on a timer. But listen, I prepared for this. Sure, I didn't bring a Pecha Berry, but I did bring something else. I click Rest, and with a held Chesto Berry, Cyrax wakes up instantly with no poison and full HP. And now, with Cyrax's attack maxed out, I stare Atticus in his overconfident, over-eager eyes and spit at the ground in front of him. I don't know how to make a fake spit sound. Regardless of that, finally, it's time to attack. One Bulldoze floors the Skuntank. Revavroom comes in, we manage to dodge an Iron Head, probably with a little help from Sandveil, and then we land a quad-effective Bulldoze, swiftly flooring it. Penultimately, Muck comes in, and one Bulldoze does the trick. Finally, it's the standoff between our juiced-up Cyrax and the dumbest thing to ever be deemed a Pokemon. Atticus draws First Blood and puts Cyrax to 65 health with a Spin-Out. Cyrax retaliates with a Bulldoze, which lowers the car's speed even more than the Spin-Out already did. Now, with the car on very little health and the -3 speed on their end, Cyrax uses one final Bulldoze. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we come out the other end with yet again 0 casualties. He hides behind his Shakespearean Atticusisms and acts like that gives him the right to wish a plague upon my house, purely because I don't align with his primitive ideals. I still don't know what a spit sounds like. I'm sorry. That sounded more like a sneeze. As the log goes on, I'm realizing more and more that although Dragon is, if not one of the best typings in the game, if not the one of the biggest, what? They are, if not the one of the best typings. Does that grammatically make sense? I don't know. Regardless, they don't evolve until pretty incredibly late into the game. That means I'm gonna have to hunt for a new goober if I don't want a hard struggle until the end game. I needed someone who could evolve fast so that I have some sort of power on the team outside of Cyrax, the Gabite. This shiny, however, was gonna be next to impossible to find out in the wild if I wanted it to be full odds. So listen, I copped out and I did something else. And because my full odds egg hunts so far have been, well, lucky to say the least, I head towards Medali to find and catch a particular blob that for whatever reason can congregate and consummate with every other species there is, including Applin. So listen, full odds hunting this in the wild is a myth. No sparkle power, no outbreak. My best bet if I want to keep this full odds is to hunt it with eggs. So get this. I go to Lagtree Thicket, catch a not shiny one, go to Cascarafa where I can eat a meal that makes my Pokemon want to touch butts, and then I sit and wait as my Pokemon have some interspecies hanky-panky. And after hatching egg after egg after egg for literally 4 entire waking days, something magnificent happened. Oh my god, finally! Yes! I got it! Ah! It's real! Oh, it's over. Oh my god, it's over. Thank god. I hate my pseudo hunting, bro. It's so boring. Now, we're talking. But before heading to Medali to take on Lorenzo, there's something that I want to do. Yes! Gosh, you know, I'm hungry. Excuse me, yeah, could I get one medium serving of rice balls, extra crispy, fire blast style with lemon on top, please? So get this, I order my meal and all of a sudden, everyone collapses through the floor of the restaurant and I'm being challenged to a bout of fisticuffs. My guy, I'm just here to eat. I don't know what I did or what I said wrong, but apparently I'm throwing hands with someone now. And listen, we don't back down from a challenge. I would have appreciated if they'd let me enjoy my meal first, but hey, who am I to argue with Medali and Custom? My best friend slash worst enemy. Does that make sense? I guess in theory, your best friend is your worst enemy, right? Think about it. Anyway, we lead with Cyrax and use Sand Attack on turn 1. Komala uses Yawn, putting us on a 1-move timer before Cyrax falls asleep. Another Sand Attack means Komala misses his slam. However, we're still put to sleep. Fortunately, I gave Cyrax the Chesto Berry for this exact moment. I'm so clever. I opt for another Sand Attack, resulting in Komala missing its second slam in a row. After a back and forth, mostly consisting of Cyrax kicking sand into the eyes of a koala, I felt like it was time for our new friend to shine. We send out Toothless, the gorgeous shiny Flapple, who dodges slam on the first turn, then manages to get 3 iron defenses off and only takes 1 slam in the process. After dodging another blow, Toothless starts to set up with Dragon Dance. Toothless takes a yawn, Dragon Dances again, Komala fails a yawn, Toothless falls asleep, eats a Chesto Berry, wakes up, D-dances, dodges a slam, D-dances again, gets yawned again, D-dances again, dodges a slam, and after a lot of back and forth, I finally terrestrialize Toothless. We go for Grav Apple, putting a swift end to the Komala. Larry brings out a Dud Unsparse, which falls to a single Grav Apple. And then finally, Lorenzo brings out his ace. So listen, this is terrifying. Toothless is a grass type, and this Staraptor has Aerial Ace. Our saving grace is Laza with a normal Terra type, and since Staraptor loses its grass resistance, and so with that, Toothless can comfortably outspeed in one shot with a single Grav Apple, and now I guess I've earned his blessing or whatever. I'm allowed to eat my damn rice balls. Thank you, I think. Now you see, my friends, before moving on, I took a quick glance at the next given level cap, which is that of Rhyme's Gym, and something spectacular dawned on me. We're gonna be able to make a few team changes before taking it on. How interesting. What? Spyro's evolving! Oh my god, look at this thing's eyes. Yes, we're climbing, boys. It's happening. This thing looks goofy as crap. After traversing the mountains of Glaciado, I found myself in a quaint little place called Montenevera, where I managed to clean the battle stage with the faces of my opponents. After that, however, I was about to hop off the stage when Rhyme herself got up and started flaming me out of nowhere. I didn't ask for this. She's coming for my brand. Rhyme may have charisma, but she's predictable. She's old. I'm young. She's washed. I'm fresh. Rhyme thought I'd be an easy target, but the joke's on her. You see, it's about drive. It's about power. We stay hungry and all that, you know what I'm saying? And by we, I mean our newly evolved Spyro and his comrade Toothless. I click the big red Terra button off the rip and Toothless manages to tank a slash. Spyro lands a massive Terra boosted Dragon Claw and takes out the bayonet immediately. Chef's kiss. After a brilliant entry from Spyro, Toothless uses Iron Defense and gains a little bit of his health back from the leftovers. Rhyme then replaces her fallen bayonet with a Houndstone. The crowd, clearly taken aback by how handsome and tall and rich and handsome and humble I am, started cheering me on, boosting both my Pokemon's morales and in turn their stats. We take those. Swiftly following, a Dragon Claw from Spyro ends the Houndstone before it has a chance to land a single move. Our favourite little apple friend then uses Grav Apple to get rid of the Mimikyu's disguise and takes an incredibly mid-slash from Fakichu. Fake bless you. Rhyme brings in our final Pokemon Toxtricity and the crowd continues to cheer in admiration of Gentle Dude and his handsome collective of handsome, tall, handsome Pokemon. Except Toothless, who although may not be tall, makes up for that fact in sheer unfiltered handsome. I want to keep the apple safe, so I click Protect since he's already taken a chunk of damage in this fight thus far. Spyro with ease then takes out the terrestrialized Toxtricity with a single Dragon Claw, and so here we are, left facing just one final Pokemon. The Mimikyu hardly does anything with a slash, and we retaliate with a Grav Apple. Game, set, microwave. Onwards, my dragons, the tusk awaiteth. I click Charm 3 times and turn the once mortifying physical attacker into a marshmallow. Then, after taking a pretty pathetic break, we pretty much spam low kick until the elephant falls. What an exhilarating fight that was. On to round 2, and I know what to do because Arvin comes through and he sends out his dude. His Mon takes a hit. How crazy is this? A scary face lowers the elephant's moves. I use my Sliggoo who charms 1 or 2, maybe 3 times before we swap out, but to who? I go into Spyro who's ready to fight and Arvin attacks with some pretty good bite. The Titan's at half but defeats Arvin's Mon. A Bulldoze does nothing, a stomping tantrum. Hits Spyro but it doesn't hurt very much. Terrestrializing feels like just the right touch. See, Dragon Claw still barely hurts when I use it. We take a hit back but survive and hold through it. A low kick and D-Claw deliver the win and now we can go to the cave it was in. We're stealing its weed to grind to a paste and then make a sandwich to eat in great haste. My Dragon dragon decides that he'd rather eat mine, so I'm forced to go without food. Well, I rhyme. What a crime. Not sublime, but it's fine. I'll survive. I'm alive. Just a vibe, just as long as you subscribe. Eminem's been real quiet since I started spitting, hasn't he? However, next, I went out and searched for our next teammate. For this one, I decided that I was going to attempt to catch a Dratini. Listen, we all know Dragonite is an amazing Pokemon. Its stats, baller. Its design, baller. Its move access, baller. We love a bit of Dragonite. Yum. Yes, please. But strangely, while I was looking for Dratini, something else happened instead.
Any? No, nothing.
Wait. That's... You're not who I was looking for at all. But wait, it evolves into a dragon. You evolve into Altaria. Hell yeah, okay. I mean, listen, this hunt was already running for days and I didn't even come out with the right shiny. However, Swablu does evolve into Altaria, who is a dragon type. So I took that as a sign. Instead of spending countless more hours looking for Dratini, I decided to evolve our new buddy Swablu straight away and head on out towards Alfornada. Miss Nomona stops me in my tracks and forces me into a battle without my consent. Regardless, I wipe the floor with her and we can bounce on over to the gym after dance fighting with the psychic types that act as this gym's challenge. Tulip comes out of nowhere and fully chats on putting makeup on my Pokemon. Like that's an okay thing to say. Where is Pokemon's equivalent of PETA? Why are you animal testing in 2023? I'm gonna cancel you. Tulip leads a giraffe and I lead Cyrax. Turn 1, I opt for a sand attack, which results in Farigiraf missing a Zen headbutt. I repeat that twice more, dodging another Zen headbutt in the process. Then Tulip changes up her tactic and opts for Reflect. On the next turn, we land another sand attack, but get hit by a solid Zen headbutt that leaves us at about a sexy time joke's worth of HP. So listen, eventually I switch over to Smaug, and thanks to all the accuracy drops, we dodge a Zen headbutt on the switch. We get 3 charms off, so this Farigiraf is now a blind marshmallow just sort of swinging at the wind. And even when it does hit, it's just like when someone shakes your hand with a little bit too much enthusiasm, or when someone squeezes too hard during a hug. I opt to switch over to Spyro to then set up D-dances to +4 before Sod's dancing to +6 without taking too much damage. You might think I'm being too careful, but listen, Gardevoir is a fairy type, and her ace Florges is also a fairy type, and I'm using dragons. We don't like fairies. And both of these Pokemon have pretty obnoxiously hard-hitting stab fairy moves. I need to be smart here. Listen, so at this point we're looking at a +4 speed, +6 attack Spyro, and I'm pretty confident that that's all we need. One singular crunch wipes out Farigiraf from the face of the planet, then Gardevoir comes out, which would have been big scary if we didn't set up how we did. See, slow and steady wins the race. Gardevoir falls and Espathra comes in. Espathra falls and Tulip brings out her ace, Florges. Scary Pokemon! No to this! Not today, no thank you. She terastalizes, but Spyro is just outrageous and alleviates my fear instantly. Tulip and I took a selfie and I posted it straight to the internet, exposing her for the animal abuser that she is. Girl said makeup on Pokemon. Heartless! Have you no compassion, woman? Before heading forth towards Grusha and the ice gym, which, by the way, is terrifying, the new level cap puts me in a good place to get some team changes rolling, and by that, I mean... Yo! Yo! That's a bad shiny! As we arrive in Glaciado, we're met with a brisk reminder that this gym is absolutely one of our biggest threats. In the entire run, dragon types don't like ice types, not one bit. Heck, 2 of our friendos are quad weak to them. There's no turning back now regardless. We have no other option. Whatever happens, I'm proud of my dragons. We've come damn far. Garchomp is my lead of choice, and I make the dumbest first move possible by not terastalizing. Frostmoth has a good enough special attack that one quad effective Blizzard would for sure knock out a Garchomp. However, after being sand attacked, the already pretty inaccurate Blizzard becomes even more so and misses on turn 1. In realizing my cabbagery, I terastalize so to not be quad weak to Blizzard and keep opting for sand attack. And in a bout of just incredible RNG, we get the Frostmoth to -6 accuracy, which means that Frostmoth has virtually no chance of landing Blizzard, right? I use the next turn to swap out to Haxorus, allowing Frostmoth to set up another Tailwind. Frostmoth goes for Bug Buzz but doesn't manage to land, and Hax is free to use Dragon Dance. After another free D-Dance and 2 free Swords Dances, Spyro is all set up for the sweep. One low kick floors the Moth. Beartic comes out, but we put it straight to bed with a low kick. Same goes for Satitan. This is looking surreal for us. Grusha, with his magnificent eyes, brings out his ace Altaria. However, after terastalizing, it's now weak to Axe Face's low kick, and that does enough to one-shot, which means that without one single casualty, we walk out with Grusha's confidence, his admiration, and his gym badge. Dear friends, do you feel that? The final push is now upon us with only 2 Team Star bosses and 1 final Titan before the Elite Four. I think it's time to head out in search of another sparkly dragon. The one that I have in mind, however, doesn't reside in a cave or atop a mountain like how most dragons do. Nay, you see, this particular dragon is a sea dweller. This Pokemon was one that I'd never used up till this point, and I've had the idea planted in my head since the start. The Pokemon we're going to be hunting for is none other than Skrelp. This cute little seaweed dragon evolves into a slightly more sleep paralysis demon looking seaweed dragon that helps out a ton with the end game because of its pretty unique typing.
Okay.
Oh wait, that's it, that's it. That's definitely it. Yes! You're not hard to spot. Okay. Show me them sparkles. Let's go. 1, 2, 3. Yes! Finally! After days upon days with Dragalge on our side, the fairy crew is going to be a whole lot easier. With a blaze of confidence and our new, honestly horror movie-esque friend now on our side, we sprint head first towards Ortega and his fairies. Ortega emerges from his evil gazebo atop his evil automobile. He looks down at me with a look of sheer cockiness, knowing that I wield purely dragons. I know he's heard of me by now. The name Gentle Dude rings in his ear like the echo of a nightmare he just can't shake. But when faced with me in person, he acts like he doesn't know who I am. Tisk, young Ortega. I'm gonna put you in your place. Without hesitation, he leads Azumarill and I lead Elizabeth. I opt to go straight for Will-O-Wisp, knowing that Azu is a physical attacker. With huge power, might I add. And because of that fact, even after a Will-O-Wisp, a play rough puts Lizzie to just under half health, which means a different roll, a crit, or a Will-O-Miss would have meant losing a team member. Yikes. I need to switch, so Smaug is who I opt for. However, on the switch, another hard play rough almost halves our HP again. But listen, I know that I need to get a charm or two off if I want to win this. After a charm, we take a small enough amount of damage that I know, provided that we don't get crit, I could safely land another before switching. I'm already risking the crit, and the position that another charm would put us in is just too good to turn down. However, after being hit by another play rough, Smaug takes so much damage that it looks like it's about to cry, which should just about illustrate this fight. This measly Aqua Rabbit, the only opponent to ever make Smaug, Desolator of Worlds, cry. I switch Smaug for Cyrax, then try to marshmallow this Azu as much as possible. I use Sand Attack 2 times with Cyrax before opting to bring in our secret weapon, Saphira. Now, Saphira gets hit with a charm on the switch in, which doesn't make a difference because we're running her as a special attacker. With the 2 Sand Attacks up, Saphira and I start using Double Team, which we managed to pull off 6 of and get a Toxic Spikes off somewhere in the in-between without taking too much damage. Now, finally, it was Saphira's time to shine. A Venoshock sends Azu to its swift demise, then when Wigglytuff comes out, it gets poisoned immediately. Now, the reason I opted for Venoshock is that it's a 65 base power move. However, when the opponent is poisoned, its move power doubles to 130. So, needless to say, one Venoshock floors Wigglytuff with absolutely no issues. Dash Bun comes out, Dash Bun falls. Finally, we're left with the Starmobile, which is a slightly bigger issue because for whatever reason, they bypass any status. Because I guess they're not classed as actual Pokemon, which is strange because when you beat a Starmobile, you see its tongue. This thing has a tongue. So what the hell actually is it? I can't status it. In-game, it's called a Revavroom, but that's absolutely not what a Revavroom looks like. You know what? It doesn't even matter. Listen, we prepared for this by using all of the double teams that we did earlier. So now, our fate lies with our Geodude. And whatever happens, happens. A Venoshock does a solid amount as the car opts for a Steamroller, but misses. Then a second Venoshock puts the car to half health. They try to confuse Ray, but Saphira is just too slick with it and manages to dodge. Saphira lands another Venoshock, which gets the car to a killing range. The next turn, they actually land a Confuse Ray, which could be pretty scary if Saphira wasn't an absolute demon. We pull through, land another final Venoshock through the confusion, putting Ortega in his place and forcing him to go get his car serviced. Easy peasy. Casa Royal Lake, home to some exotic and interesting Pokemon, and as a side gig, the most lag-inducing place I've ever visited. Don Dozzy was a Hozboz, ate some sashimi, and that sent him into a fit of rage that he decided to take out on me for whatever reason. Luckily though, I've got a Toothless to help me out. Without hesitation, we Terrastalize turn 1 and use Grav Apple, which drains half of the False Dragon's health. It also drops Dondo's defense stat, which means one more Grav Apple can quickly put an end to the first phase of the fight. After chasing down the whale, it looks like he regurgitated the sushi just for it to wiggle into a cave and take some performance-enhancing drugs to then come back out and voluntarily hop back into the gaping mouth of the whale. Nature is crazy. Regardless, it's time to square up one more time. I Terrastalize to the grass type once again to land a Grav Apple, which this time deals a quarter of the Titan's health. Dondo's defense falls and he retaliates with a Body Slam that deals exactly a third of Toothless's HP. Arvin then uses Takedown, which does something. We get a bit of leftovers recovery and then protect for a little more, blocking the oncoming Body Slam and letting Arvin use Takedown for free. From here, and with the Grav Apple D-drop, I can use it one final time to put the whale to sleep. Easy peasy. Ish. Before Dondo died, he spat up the sushi, who seemed to be mad at me for some reason. Maybe Tatsu was in the whale's mouth consensually. Maybe it was the mark of a healthy relationship. Maybe I just forever parted this poor widow with their one true love. Everlasting and true, regardless of how people see them. I took that away from them, and this sushi wants revenge. For all I knew, I was saving this thing's life. But I mean, I guess not. Oh well, we smack up the nigiri and go full Bear Grylls on it. Delicious. Our next obstacle is a WNBA player by the name of Eri. Eri? Eri? Eri. Regardless, either she's 6'5" or I'm 4'8". But that can't be right. I'm Gentle Dude. I'm tall. Eli leads Toxicroak, and so I lead with Garchomp, who takes a few hits while consistently using Sand Attack. By the end of the exchange, this frog has so much sand in its eyes that it may as well be fighting with glaucoma. Next on in is Smaug, who on the swap takes just a ludicrous amount of damage off the bat. So I risk Smaug's life here to get a couple of charms in, because there's no way this frog lands through -6 accuracy, right? Right, so after getting pretty lucky, I can switch over to Toothless. On the switch, however, we take a super effective poison jab that does a chunk of damage. Nevertheless, some lefties recovery helps a bit, and I opt for Iron Defense to reinforce the apple. Somehow, the all but blind Toxicroak lands another poison jab, which doesn't do a whole lot on account of the charms and Iron Defense, so I decide that I might as well click Dragon Dance. I do that a few times, dodging, dipping, ducking, diving, and dodging before finally opting to start attacking. A couple of Grav Apples do the trick on the frog, and it falls without causing too many issues. Then, one by one, Eri brings out her weapons, and one by one, they fall. She brings them out, and I keep dropping them. Finally, it's time for the Starmobile, but I'm not worried. A Grav Apple does over half, and so one more seals the deal. Eri was furious, livid. She was up in arms, which is a phrase that I've never really understood. Up in arms. Like, see if someone's talking about their arms, usually they're talking about actual guns, but when someone's talking about their guns, they're talking about their arms. English. Regardless, finally we stand with all gym badges in our pocket, every single Titan slain, every Team Star crew, and boss defeated. What left is there to prove? To be the best, we need to beat the best. And to get to the best, I have to fight our minions. But before I even get a chance to get to our minions, something absurd happens. Oh my god! Full odds shiny Stantler. Hi mate. Heads, it lives. Tails, it dies. Hey Siri, flip a coin.
Tails.
Well, wasn't that strange? Regardless, we're not here for a green Stantler. No, we're here to take our dragons to the very end. And in doing so, show off the true power of our sparkles. The Elite Four is up, and this is not going to be easy. But we gotta do what we gotta do. Rika! Let the battle commence. I lead Toothless knowing that Whiskash would be Rika's lead. I use Grav Apple turn 1 and that floors the Whisker Fish in one shot. Then Rika brings in Donphan, who has access to Poison Jab, which for obvious reasons I want to switch out on. I bring in Elizabeth, and on the switch, as predicted, Lizzie takes a Poison Jab. Now since Donphan has Sturdy and only physical moves, I click Will-O-Wisp to half its attack and to break it Sturdy. Donphan then goes for a Stone Edge, which because of the burn doesn't do too much. I see my opportunity and switch out to Smaug, who tanks a Stone Edge off the rip. The subsequent turns I use Charm, taking less and less damage with each before switching back over to Toothless. When I make that switch, Toothless takes pretty much no damage, and because we've got the lefties equipped, we recover back to full. The burn timer keeps on ticking on Donphan, so if I wanted to set up, now would be that time. Toothless manages to set up 3 Dragon Dances before annoyingly getting poisoned from a Poison Jab. Now, I'm unsure how I feel about this mechanic in Nuzlocke, but after setting up another D-Dance, out of sheer loyalty, admiration, and love, Toothless shook off the poisoning. Last time this happened, you guys all thought it was just part of the game and that I should roll with it, so here I am, rolling with it. Now, with +4 speed and +4 attack, I feel that now is the time to go on the offensive. A Grav Apple floors the elephant, then Camera Up comes out. I Terrastalize for more damage output, not that I really need it, and we defeat the Lava Camel. Doug Trio comes out but gets sent straight back to where it came from with another Grav Apple. Then, finally, Rika brings out her ace, probably the squishiest Pokemon I've ever laid eyes on. They opt to Terrastalize and protect turn 1 for no other reason than to waste 30 seconds of my life. No matter, one final Grav Apple does exactly what I need it to, and Claudywad falls, meaning we take the battle. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I thought you had to be 10 years old to become a Pokemon trainer and leave home to travel the world on your own, which in itself doesn't make a whole lot of sense, but regardless of my opinions, this girl is clearly not 10. Is she being paid to be here? Poppy, blink twice if you need help. The toddler leads her Copperajah, and I lead with Altaria purely to get a Will-O-Wisp off turn 1. Even with that, Copperajah hits like a freight train, so I switch out to Cyrax. On the switch, however, Poppy decides to set up hazards. Now, I know that the elephant has Play Rough, but I also know that Garchomp would be able to tank at least one, so I opt to Sand Attack, and we dodge. Then I Sand Attack again, but we take a Play Rough that deals a pretty hefty amount of damage. With no crits, we will survive another. So as long as we don't get bad RNG, we're okay. I set up another Swords Dance in the in-between times, and with that, I really don't want to take another Play Rough from this thing, so I opt to Fire Fang, which takes out the elephant. Cyrax, the absolute animal, then proceeds to outspeed and one-shot every single Pokemon that Poppy throws at us, except for the Magnezone since it has Sturdy. But even then, it only ever uses Light Screen turn 1 if it doesn't see a kill. We take the battle and move on to our next conquest that just so happens to be in the form of a businessman. Hair slicked, eyebrows waxed, gloves on, suited and booted. Who else but Larith? Embrace me, brother! Since we last encountered him, Larry's had a bit of a glow-up. My guy got rid of his entire team and replaced them with, quite frankly, better ones. Regardless of that fact, I'm still gonna pummel him into a wet pile of mashed potatoes. Larry leads Tropius, who I know has the ability Chlorophyll, which usually alludes to him wanting to collect Sunny Day turn 1. I opt to use Swords Dance, even though Larry's gonna use a now 1-turn Solar Beam next turn. We take the hit, which does a smidge less than half, and then use Fire Fang to eliminate the Flying Dinosaur Banana Tree. Altaria comes in next, who I know gets outsped by Cyrax, so with that in mind, I Terrastalize and use Dragon Claw to floor the Altaria. Staraptor comes in next, who follows in a painfully similar fate. Oricorio comes out, and Oricorio falls. It's a hat trick. Finally, Larry sends out his ace, and also gets one shot for the quad feed. Let's go, Cyrax! Although Larry wasn't too much cause for panic, the next battle is where things get a little bit more interesting. Hassel wields none other than dragon types, much like another young buck named Gentle Dude. But Hassel knew this day would come. 1 Hassel, 1 Gentle Dude, 12 dragons, the ultimate showdown. The final battle of the Elite Four, coming soon to a screen near you. God, that was cringe. The battle commences and Hassel leads Noivern. I opt for Altaria, and on turn 1, Noivern attempts to land a Super Fang but fails. And we get off a quad effective Ice Beam, which was absolutely a roll to kill. Unfortunately, that leaves the Noivern free to use Super Fang the next turn, which always does exactly 50% of whatever our Pokemon's current HP is sitting at. However, Liz does manage to get off another Ice Beam, which floors the Noivern. Hassel brings out a Flapple of his own, but it's all boring and not shiny. Ha ha ha. Imagine. Elizabeth outspeeds and deals another quad effective Ice Beam, which manages to one-shot this time. Next then is Dragalge, who tanks a Dragon Pulse. What happened next, however, was heartbreaking. If you're currently wearing mascara, I suggest you look away. I was over-eager. I didn't play around the crit, and yeah, you can probably guess what happens next. Gosh, we were doing so well. Elizabeth, I will always remember you. I wasn't even looking for you in the first place, but somehow you found me. I'm sorry it came to this. With vengeance in my heart, I bring in Cyrax. Now, although Cyrax instantly lands a devastating Dragon Claw to deal with the seaweed, we get poisoned by Dragalge's ability, Poison Point. This could get awkward. Axe faces up next, and so I Terrastalize Cyrax and go for Dragon Claw, which decimates the Haxorus, leaving Hassel with just 1 Pokemon in the chamber. He sends it out, and it's now a face-off. Hassel with his pseudo-legendary, and me with mine. After some deliberation, I know that there's no way anybody can comfortably switch in, because nobody one-shots, and regardless of what happens, someone is about to fall. We strike first blood with Dragon Claw, but Baxcalibur survives. And, Cyrax, oh my god, the very first Pokemon that we caught on our journey dies. It's been a perilous, uncertain, treacherous synonyms road to get here, and I have nothing but love for you, Cyrax. I'll never forget you. Spyro comes out and does what he needs to do. It's heartbreaking when the thing you cherish most, in my case, family, gets torn apart right in front of you. I could have done more. I could have done better. For Elizabeth. For Cyrax. But I knew those dragons. I can't stop here. Their deaths cannot be in vain. I have to persevere. Is that Cyrax in the sky? Am I bugging right now? I've never seen that. What the hell? He's watching. All these battles, all this bloodshed to prove a point, but it's a point that's worth proving. Geeta, you and me, let's end this. I know that her lead Espathra has access to Dazzling Gleam, and I also know that her lead Espathra outspeeds my entire team. So I need to deal with that pronto. Haxorus leads and takes a pretty hefty Dazzling Gleam, and we retaliate with a Bulldoze. See, I didn't think that a non-stab Shadow Ball would one-shot, so at least with the speed drop, we have a chance to outspeed the next turn, which we actually do. And a Shadow Ball takes out the Emu. Gogo comes in and has Play Rough, which is equally as spooky. So I switch out to Dragalge with the handy Poison typing to negate all the super effectiveness. To my surprise though, Gogo uses Bulk Up and we retaliate with a Venoshock, which takes Gogo down to about 50%. Next turn, Orange Geodude was watching over us because the Quick Claw procs and a second Venoshock puts Gogo to sleep. That could have been terrible. Geeta sends out a coffee table, another Pokemon my team's incredibly weak to. Sick. However, the thing about Avalugg is that it's slow, like really slow. So I Terrastalized the pure Dragon type for 2 reasons. 1, Avalugg has EQ, which could be devastating if it deals super effective damage. And 2, I want to deal as much damage as possible with Dragon Pulse. Unfortunately, we don't take it out in 1. However, we correctly predicted the Earthquake, and so we don't take too much damage from that. With that, we can follow up with another D-Pulse to floor the Avalugg, which baits Veluza. Now, Vuvuzela is pretty scary because of its Ice Fang, and to be honest, after seeing how much we deal to the fish, I don't really like where our team sits. In my eyes, I needed a clean switch, so I let Saphira fall, and with that, we lose our 3rd Pokemon in the span of like 20 minutes. This is devastating. I bring in Toothless and decide to Iron Defense on turn 1, taking a pretty heavy Ice Fang in the process. We Protect to get Lefty's recovery, and in seeing what sort of damage Ice Fang was doing, I thought I'd try and set up, because if I don't manage to now, I won't get to, and will surely lose someone else, if not the run, to Geeta. After a bunch of iron defenses, crit dodges, protect stalls, and dragon dances, I think we're where we need to be. A grab apple kills Veluza, and King Gambit comes in next. After protecting to get a little bit more HP back, a grab apple does a third of the samurai's health bar, and as I see the words kowtow cleave come up on my screen, I'm ready to say goodbye to Toothless and probably the entire run. But Toothless survived. What? How? I mean, I'll take it. Listen, without hesitation, I protect for lefties and then use grab apple, bringing the King Gambit down to a red health bar. And then Toothless manages to tank another kowtow cleave somehow. Then he puts an end to the King Gambit. My god, that was close. Glamora, the alien rock flower, is Gita's final Pokemon. But Glamora isn't as fast as Toothless, especially with the D-dances up. So with a single grab apple, we go from being just another wannabe dragon tamer to being the dragon champion of the Paldea region. But it wasn't without sacrifice. With our champion status in the bag, I came to realize that there was one dragon that was still left to evolve. Now, when I tell you that I spent literally days running from city to city, province to province, just trying to find some damn rain, there's no way to trigger it in Scarlet and Violet. So I was left chasing my tail for so long. Hence the current lack of a Goodra. But that was all about to change. So here we are, champions of Paldea, but you see my friends, the journey doesn't quite end here. Listen, this video's been extremely long, so you're just gonna have to trust me when I say I wiped the floor with Arvin and Clavel and Penny and Nimona. So with that, my friends, we can dive headfirst into the depths of Area Zero. And in arriving at the whatever the opposite of a summit is, Sada has us place a book in a time machine, and on that we can finally square up against the ultimate battle of our dragon conquest. This is it, all or nothing. Sada, in the coolest battle scene in the entire run, leads her Slitherwing. I, however, opt to lead our newly evolved Smaug, and he's raring to go. He is fire. He is death. Turn 1, we go for a charm, and Slitherwing uses lunge. Without taking too much damage, Smaug is able to get 3 off before we opt to switch over to Spyro. With -6 attack, we don't take too much from the oncoming leech life. Then, after some back and forths mainly consisting of low sweeps, dragon dances, and leftovers recovery, Spyro lands at +6 attack and +2 speed. With that, a Dragon Claw floors the Slitherwing with ease. Next up is Screamtail, who falls instantly to a Shadow Claw. Brute Bonnet hits Spyro with a pretty rough sucker punch, but then dies to a super effective Brick Break. So far, so good. Sandy Shocks comes out, and I terrestrialize this time round to use Dragon Claw to take it out. Fluttermane is up next and gets decimated by a single Shadow Claw. Finally, it's time for a dragon of her own. Sada brings out her Roaring Moon, but listen, Spyro outspeeds and manages to one-shot the dragon. We just did that. We just took on and beat the Elite Four champion with 4 Pokemon and beat the ultimate battle of the Scarlet experience with only 3. Listen, if you enjoyed this video, click one of these ones. I promise you'll enjoy that too. And I know you enjoyed this, because otherwise, why the hell would you still be here? See, I know you. Or don't, and in that case, I'll see you when I see you. Okay, bye.